This is a Figma component. I fed it into ChatGPT Vision and asked it to generate the code for that component. And that's the code, and that is the rendered component. So pretty insane. Let me walk you through how I did this. So this is a community ShadCN UI Figma library, and what I did was I just took out one of them and I took a screenshot of this and I pasted it into ChatGPT. Okay, I came up with this prompt, so just basically a step-by-step direction, some basic guidelines, and then I went to the docs for ShadCN and I posted in just so each one of these has like a preview and then a little mini code example. And so I pasted those little examples for each one of these components, right? So like an input, a button, and so on. So I pasted those in and then had it write the code, and then it wrote the code. I then just created a new component in my Next.js project here called account tabs here. I pasted that code in, and you can see it even did things like password matching and stuff. So it did a little bit of functionality too, which I specified, which is cool. And then I just passed that into this page, right? And we got basically it's not a one-for-one replica, but pretty much gave me what I asked for. You can see like in the original, this account things here, so I could probably tell it to remove that, and like the button text is just a little different, but pretty good. And of course this isn't clickable, so it has no idea what should be here, but in the component it was able to handle that, right? So now we have this password screen here with the new confirm password. It even has logic for if the passwords don't match, which I asked for. You'll notice in the prompt I specified two things. So what this entire example is basically trying to demonstrate is once we get access to the GPT-4 vision model in the API, we'll be able to set up RAG systems, which if you're not familiar with what RAG is, it's this overly complex named thing that's retrieval augmented generation. And it's just saying, how do we build a prompt to help you accomplish your task intelligently? Which is what a lot of these kind of AI apps are doing, is they're trying to piece together prompts in interesting ways to help with their specific use case. So once we get API access, right, we'll be able to screenshot Figma. We'll probably be able to have, some sort of input where you can give it the directions. And then all of this code stuff, you'll be able to just do retrieval, with embeddings and whatnot to include any relevant code that you might need to give the AI some context about. And then you can just send it off and it will go do the work for you, right? So this particular example wasn't just straight image to code. This is really trying to simulate, hey, once we get the API for this, these are some of the more like real world complex tasks you'll be able to use. And I use ShadCN all the time for all my UI stuff. So this is really compelling to me because suddenly I'm looking at this component and I'm like, yeah, this sure enough is like something I would actually use, in a real world workflow. And so once we can automate that whole process into like just, simple dev tooling, this is going to get pretty crazy. And so I have played around with a lot more stuff on Figma, and you may have seen a couple tweets ago, I did a little demo of a SaaS dashboard design straight to code. And that was just a first pass. So you can imagine, take that example and apply some of the principles that I just did here so that it's a little bit more, I'll call it production grade, and things get pretty wild pretty quickly. So this is very exciting.